Ilker Çatak was born in Berlin. He's a screenwriter and director whose credits include Once Upon a Time in Indiana Land from 2017, I Was, I Am, I Will Be from 2019, and Sandwool Garden from 2021. The Teacher's Lounge is his latest film. Without further ado, let's welcome him to the stage.
Thank you.
He's the best.
Thank you everybody for coming out. It has been a dream of ours to come to Toronto for many years, and I'm going to keep this short. Just tell you two things about the process of making this film. First thing, I wrote this with a classmate, Johannes, my co-writer. We went to school together in Istanbul, and while we were making this story, like writing this story, we would always have these images on our walls of, possible characters. They can be dead or alive, doesn't matter, just to get, a sense. But there was one image of one person from the very beginning, and that was the one and only Leonie Benesch. Leonie, come here, please.
Welcome, Leonie. Phenomenal actor, you'll see.
Would you like to say something?
No, not really. It's wonderful to be here. Have a great screening.
Right, and we'll talk later. There's Q&A, so stick around. Right.
Director Ilker Çatak as well as Leonie Benesch. Shout out to Leonie. Ilker, let's begin. Your film is about so many things: democracy, education, parenting, activism. And you're a Berliner, but also Turkish, and I'd love for you to tell us how the story really began for you. Why write this film?
That's a hard one. Why do we make films? Why are we drawn to certain material? It's hard to say, but like in the process of making a film or writing a film, it's always, at least for me, it's always a couple of ideas, and then I think there is some sort of project Darwinism that where just one. It's also comparable maybe to how a human being is. It's just one project that goes through and then finds their way. And in this particular case, it's just I was on a vacation with Johannes, my co-writer, the guy I went to school with, and we talked about different stuff, and I told him what's on my mind, and he told me what's on his mind, and then we remembered this incident that we had in our school time where we got raided, just like the kids in the beginning of the film, and we talked about how suspicion can just poison. Like the climate of a community, and from there on we started thinking what that could be and where that could lead to. And when we started writing the script, of course we gave it to teachers and to psychologists, because you have to do your research if you tackle a topic like education. And what they said was, you cannot do this nowadays. It would only be possible if it was to be voluntarily. So if the kids were, but if you don't have to hide anything, then you don't have to fear. And we thought that's interesting. That's really interesting, because a kid would have to be really courageous to say no to a hierarchy like that. And when we were kids, we just didn't question it. They didn't tell us it was they didn't say it's voluntarily. We just got raided back then. It was in Istanbul. And so we started thinking about these hierarchies and how a school can be a miniature for society as well. And it was just then from there on it just took off, and we thought, okay, this could be an interesting take on how nowadays we're debating how nobody's listening, how false and truth is being bent, how truth is being, how subjective it can be. And there were a lot of thoughts as I'm talking.
Oh, we love it.
I'm sorry. So Yeah, I mean, I think this film has a lot of things that have got to do with me and with him as well. Like growing up, I grew up in Germany as a foreigner. He grew up in Istanbul as a German kid. So this feeling of alienation and not really belonging to where you are has also, like, I think she's like Karl Novak has that as well. And you kind of feel, you know, you don't want to, you're trying to fit in and you don't want to show your heritage and whatnot. You know, there's a lot of things in there.
I mean, I have to say, as a slight personal aside, I'm Polish of Polish origin, and I used to be a kindergarten teacher in Germany, so the way that your film resonates with me is, I could give you a second film, I think. But I really would love to know why you chose a Polish character, because the Polish-German border is really contentious as well, and I'm very curious why that was your initial choice for the film.
Actually, there was this one novel by a Polish writer who was my age, around about. Her name is Margareta Stokowski. She's this feminist writer, and I read her novel, and she talks about what it feels like to grow up as a Polish woman, in what it felt like to grow up like that. And there is this horrible, how do you say, prejudice, especially in east of Germany towards Polish people, that they are thefts and that they, you know, steal, and whenever a car is stolen, then the Polish people came again. They have that, and we thought, you know, this combined with a series of thefts and our main character would also lead to a you know, feeling of shame, or, you know, not wanting to talk about where you're from and all. Yeah.
To speak to the layers of your film, I'd also love to get into, in the beginning you said that you cast Leonie, you wrote it with Leonie in mind as well, but how did you choose the other players in the film? They seem very specific to their roles.
Yeah, I mean, I had this incredible casting director called Simone Beer. Unfortunately, she passed away this year. But Simone read the script, and she said she made some suggestions, and the most interesting to me was the character of Liebenwerder. So in the film, he's a person of color, but that wasn't mentioned in the screenplay. And then we thought, wow, that's a crazy idea. The guy who has been experiencing racism all his life is now being accused of being a racist. And then I thought, yeah, actually this reflects just my feeling on what's taking place on Twitter right now. Like, I cannot keep track anymore. It's just such a chaos, and I don't know who's woke and woker and whatnot. It's just crazy. And yeah, and we just try to kind of emulate this whole absurd times that we're living in, this chaos, basically.
Before I take some questions from the audience on that note, there was obviously going to have a lot of conversations on set with the children, because you're dealing with such emotional, demanding issues that could also be psychologically terrifying for them. How did you work with those young cast members?
Yeah, so two of those kids were the sons of the grown-ups. Oscar is the son of Liebenwerder, and Tom is the son of Dudek. So that's something that I experienced over the years, that actors have kids who can actually act. It's crazy. And for the rest of the 22 children, I would gather them in like groups of 5 to 7, and just stand in front of them like in a classroom and say, okay, now I'm your teacher, and you guys want to convince me that you need to go to the Fridays for Future demonstration on Friday. And they would start like arguing with me, and you know, and there I would see what kid is very like is there and sharpenable. And then those kids I would gather again and have a chemistry casting, like with the class, and have the camera there as well in my DP, and with the sound, just to see if they are how much aware they are of the camera. And in a last step, in the third round, I would have personal interviews with each and every one of them. And there I would tell them like 3 things. First of all, You're not kids, I'm not your boss, we're colleagues. Okay? Second of all, we're a family, and if one of the kids doesn't feel well, we're all brothers and sisters, and if one of us does not feel well, we all take care of that kid. And the third thing would be, you have to have a certain work ethic. This is not fun. So I expect you to, read the script. I expect you to, there is no class, there is no extras and roles, but parts, but we're all a class and we're one entity and everybody is involved and gets involved. So I would have these conversations with them and really try to, make them understand that this is not fun, that we're putting ourselves to a bigger thing. Like, one day we're all gonna die and this film will be here. I would literally talk to them like this.
That's exactly what I grew up. I love it.
You cannot treat them like children,
I agree.
They're colleagues.
I agree. And by the way, for context, in German schools, speaking from the kindergarten, when you're working with 3 and 4-year-olds, they serve themselves food. They're much more efficient than children I've seen in other parts of the world. It's true, a true thing. Yes.
He said, we want nobody to be a victim. Nobody. So not the kids, not the grown-ups, not Harpoon, nobody. And that's why nobody in this film is backing down. And that's actually a very thankful approach for a director, because you need to have friction in the scene and the scene works by itself. So I spoke to Eva about this, Eva Löbau, who plays Kuhn, and she said to me this woman is innocent. And I said, all right, then let's make it innocent. And we didn't, that was it. That was it. And she completely approached her part by just thinking and believing in the innocence of her.
I'd love to get a sense, this film's already been released in Germany, as we mentioned, it's the German Oscar submission. Can you give us an idea of how it's been playing locally? Is it stirring debate? Have you found that?
Yeah, I mean, it went really well. We had great admissions, and we had a few awards that we won as well.
A few.
But yeah, no, that was great. But I gotta tell you, the most valuable thing I heard from an audience was in a screening where we had children and teachers, and then this one girl stood up and she said, "Thank you for this film. We as students can be so hard to our teachers, and now for the first time we actually see what they go through."
That's wonderful. Listen, Ilker, you're one of the most interesting people I think we've ever had on this stage, and you're a phenomenal filmmaker and artist, and we're so grateful to have had this film in Toronto. It's still playing again. Tell your friends, tell your family, vote at TIFF.net/vote. And just thank you for sharing your thoughts and work with us.
Thanks for having us. Thank you very much.
Hey, this is Eric from MyOnCinema.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.